The movie opens on New Year's Eve in 1975 at the Dante Hotel. A young boy, seemingly the perpetrator of a massacre, stands amidst lifeless bodies, including his parents. He tries to rouse them, but to no avail. Upon taking his father's pocket watch, he hears the police arrive. One officer demands he drop his axe. Overcome with emotion, the boy repeatedly insists it isn't their time, as the camera focuses on the pocket watch, highlighting the theme of time. The scene transitions to the present New Year's Eve. An anchor woman reports on 12 people missing from a party the previous night, but this is an old recording from 1975 being watched by a man. The sole witness of the incident was a 12-year-old boy, Daniel Breyer, who reported his parents missing. Oddly, every 12 years, Daniel faces questioning again when the same incident reoccurs. It appears a mysterious event has been repeating every 12 years since 1975. The story shifts to a vibrant woman named Goldie, who shares her troubled past of substance abuse in her 20s at a support group. She recounts waking up in a hospital one day, narrowly escaping death, and has been in recovery ever since. Goldie announces an upcoming event at the Dante Hotel, focusing on its organization rather than indulging in drinks. Her transformation into a better person is applauded by her group. Goldie arrives at the Dante Hotel and assures her boss, Amit, of the event's success. A man identified as Daniel is present with a familiar pocket watch. He cryptically talks about a 12-year cycle and Judgment Night, confusing Goldie. After a tense conversation with Amit, Daniel advises Goldie to leave before midnight. Amit reveals that Daniel lives on the 12th floor due to a past incident but poses no threat. Later, a man is startled by the Grim Reaper on the hotel's rooftop. After accepting a ticket from the Reaper, he's pushed off the roof and dies. Later, Goldie's questioned by Detective Rachel about the incident. Emmett insists that the man, Christoph, fell accidentally, citing that only he and Christoph had access to the rooftop. However, Rachel suspects foul play and requests security footage. Detective Rachel questions if Christoph had any disputes with co-workers, leading Emmett to mention Daniel. Finding Daniel in the hallway, she learns he's waiting for an elevator. Despite her inquiries about Christoph, Daniel remains silent, but he reveals he doesn't have a key to the roof. At the police station, Rachel reviews security footage of Christoph's fall, which glitches at the moment of his fall, suggesting he might have been pushed. She suspects the footage was tampered with and shares her findings with her boss, Detective Hector. Hector reveals his past encounters with Daniel, whose case his father was unable to solve. 12 years after the initial incident, Hector finds himself dealing with Daniel, much like his father did. Despite Daniel's protestations of innocence, the lack of evidence allows him to walk free. Hector is reluctant to chase shadows as his father did, but Rachel's worried about Daniel's erratic behavior and his ominous predictions of doom. She insists they can't dismiss the case lightly. Hector counters that solid evidence could change the situation, but warns that he's been down this path before, but to no avail. Upon viewing the footage, Hector doesn't see what Rachel does, leading her to insist that the footage has been tampered with. However, Hector advises her to steer clear of the case. Meanwhile, at the hotel, Emmett informs Goldie she's behind schedule. She explains a chef quit due to the Christoph incident, but assures him a replacement was found. Emmett compliments her efforts, noting the improved appearance of the place. Rachel discovers that Christoph's body is missing from the morgue. At the hotel, Goldie, dressed elegantly, welcomes guests to the party, while Daniel's gloomy presence contrasts the festive mood. A woman at the party warns her boyfriend against surprise proposals. Daniel interrupts, advising them to leave, but Goldie reminds him he's not a guest and threatens to call the police. Daniel leaves, ominously stating that tonight is the night. Elsewhere, Chloe and Ronnie, disguised as kitchen staff, sneak into the party. The Grim Reaper offers them tickets and directs them to a room with a red curtain. Inside the luxurious room, Chloe senses danger, but Ronnie remains oblivious. They soon realize that they're not alone. The Grim Reaper has followed them. As he advances, they try to flee, but he slashes Ronnie with his scythe. His hourglass indicates time's up. Chloe escapes the room, her screams alerting the partygoers, including Goldie, who assumes she's intoxicated. As Chloe tries to leave the building, she spots the Grim Reaper outside, but her misfortune prevents her from exiting the fenced area. The Grim Reaper claims Chloe's life, leaving no trace for a worker who arrives later. The hotel signboard changes to read Dante. Daniel, in his room, puts up photos of Chloe and Ronnie and watches a party through his surveillance system. Though he's not the only one watching, the Reaper is too. Goldie stumbles upon the lifeless body of Ronnie, causing her to flee in fear. She'd been warned about this by Daniel. A detective watches a video of a young Daniel discussing with lawyers about an individual who killed his parents. Soon, Rachel receives a call from Goldie about potential information on Christoph. However, upon her arrival at the hotel, she's stopped by the Grim Reaper, who offers her a ticket. After accepting a ticket, Rachel and Goldie explore a special room where Ronnie's body has mysteriously vanished. Rachel finds it odd that such a large room is unoccupied. Goldie, unaware of the room until recently, learns from Rachel about the disappearance of Daniel's parents in this hotel 48 years ago. Rachel questions the decision to live in a place of such tragic history. Despite Goldie's wish to end the party, Rachel insists they need to confront Daniel without causing a scene. Rachel inquires about the Grim Reaper, whom Goldie denies knowing or inviting to the party. Later, Rachel approaches Daniel's door. Daniel opens the door to Rachel, the detective, who accuses him of being responsible for multiple disappearances and assures him she will find the victims. He dismisses her claims as absurd, questioning how he could have deceived the FBI at the age of 12. When she attempts to arrest him, he resists and flees, prompting a chase. Meanwhile, at the party, the Grim Reaper gives a couple 2 tickets and directs them to a specific room. The girl reads a vague message about controlling time on her ticket. They proceed to play pool upstairs, but the Grim Reaper intervenes, causing the guy's sudden death despite the girl's attempts to save him. The Grim Reaper appears in an elevator, leaving the girl alone. She pleads for her life, claiming innocence, and narrowly escapes death by jumping to a lower floor. However, the Reaper's scythe follows, fatally wounding her. Goldie and Rachel find Daniel in the room with the girl's body. Rachel confronts him, but he denies involvement, cryptically stating that the girl can't be present when the elevator arrives. When the lights flicker off and on, both Daniel and the girl have vanished. A door opens, leading Goldie and Rachel to a mysterious elevator where the deceased girl stands, similar to the previous guy. Daniel appears in a room, while the women proceed to Amit's room, which Rachel has to force open. Goldie's alarmed by the sight of blood. In another scene, a family of 3 receives tickets from the Grim Reaper and heads to the pool area. The girl and her father swim, but a sudden eerie apparition in the water and flickering lights create a chilling atmosphere. Daniel, armed with an axe, frightens the mother. Goldie, observing him on the camera, worries for the family's safety. Daniel confirms they accepted the tickets willingly. The mother pleads for her 12-year-old daughter's safety, prompting Daniel to instruct them to move in the pool. However, zombie-like beings pull the father under. As a similar creature attacks the mother, Daniel intervenes, but both she and the creature disappear. They reappear as zombies, and Daniel warns the girl that they're no longer her parents. Ignoring Daniel's warning, the girl runs to her zombified parents. Rachel and Goldie arrive, and Rachel orders Daniel to drop his axe. They witness the zombie father's death and join the Grim Reaper in a supernatural elevator. Rachel questions Daniel's allegiance, but he denies any collaboration. Skeptical, Rachel handcuffs Daniel and attempts to call for backup, but the phone doesn't work. Daniel insists they're on their own in Father Time's hotel and leads them to his room. There, he requests Rachel to uncuff him. She partially complies, moving the cuffs to his front. Daniel reveals a secret passage in his closet leading to a surveillance room. He assures Rachel that he only monitors public areas and shows her footage of a disappearing elevator. Goldie spots photos of missing people on his wall, but Daniel denies they're his victims. A flashback shows a young Daniel witnessing the Grim Reaper killing his parents. Daniel shares that he moved into the hotel at 18, refusing to believe his parents had abandoned him. At 24, he attacked the Grim Reaper with an axe, but he failed to kill him. Daniel realizes that one can't kill something that was never alive. Despite Rachel's intent to arrest him, Daniel explains that the Grim Reaper and Father Time are the same entity from different times, known by many names but always collecting souls. He refers to Dante's Inferno, where sinners are punished, and likens the hotel to a hellish portal. Daniel suggests that Father Time's power is linked to his scythe, and proposes they find an altar where souls are sent to hell and steal the scythe. Daniel suggests trapping the Grim Reaper in a portal before destroying it, regardless of the cost. He reveals that anyone in the hotel on New Year's Eve could be a target, prompting him to advise shutting down the party. Meanwhile, a couple, Emily and her boyfriend, enjoy the party. Goldie tries to stop the party due to an accident, but her boss dismisses it as a false alarm. Despite Goldie's efforts, the party continues. Rachel informs Amit about the blood in his office and the deaths in his hotel, but he demands proof. Rachel receives a call from Hector, who's upset about her involvement in this case. Unfazed, she hangs up and is determined to find Father Time. Daniel spots the creature leaving a room and they follow it to an elevator. Rachel gets trapped in the closing elevator doors, and despite attempts to help her, she's tragically cut in half. Father Time appears near a couple, hands them tickets, and points to a special room before disappearing. Daniel and Goldie notice the couple with tickets. Oddly, there are two Emilys. One heads to the special room, the other goes elsewhere, followed by her boyfriend, Paul. In the special room, Emily finds a makeup area and tries on a necklace, despite Father Time's presence. The other Emily enters the kitchen, where she appears invisible to everyone except for Peter. Emily sees herself aged in the mirror and panics, demanding Father Time to reverse it. He, appearing as an elderly man, tells her time can't be stopped, and they can be together forever. Her hand disintegrates into sand. Goldie enters too late to help as Emily turns into sand. Meanwhile, another Emily leads Paul to a storage room, where she falls unconscious. When she awakens, she ominously tells Paul it's his time. She chases him on all fours, pounces on him with a demonic voice, and takes his life. Daniel and Goldie enter his room where he notices a photo of a plane. Daniel explains it's owned by the hotel owners who also own several haunted places. This leads Goldie to speculate about multiple Father Times, which Daniel believes could explain the hotel's 12-year event cycle. Daniel aims to disrupt this pattern. Goldie spots a box of explosives containing black sand from Father Time's hourglass, which seems harmful to him. Daniel explains to use it against Father Time, despite Goldie's concern for potential casualties. Unwilling to abandon his plan, Daniel focuses on stopping Father Time while Goldie prioritizes saving the people. At the party, Goldie follows Father Time into a special room, despite Daniel's warnings. Blocked by a supernatural elevator, Daniel can't follow. In a new room, Father Time offers Goldie a drink and transforms his glass into an hourglass. He proposes to give her a chance to relive her past years and make different choices. Meanwhile, Daniel enters the elevator and joins Goldie, who reveals that she's made a deal with Father Time to regain 12 lost years. Daniel reveals that he can only turn back time by an hour, not years, indicating Father Time deceived Goldie. When he learns she rejected the ticket, he halts the elevator for her. Daniel then follows Father Time to an underground area where he finds victims bound to a wall. He encounters Emmett, who has assumed the role of the supernatural entity, and welcomes him to Hell's Gate. Emmett plans to make Goldie the final soul needed to open the gates, and warns of doom if Daniel interferes. Claiming his actions are for the greater good, Emmett disappears, leaving Daniel with the aberrations of his deceased parents. At the party, Father Time urges Goldie to hurry as the countdown begins. Daniel converses with his parents and shows his dad his pocket watch. As the new year arrives, Goldie sees Father Time transform into Emmett. Simultaneously, the Hell's Gates open, releasing supernatural beings who start taking lives at the party. Emmett urges Goldie to fulfill her destiny, but she flees. Father Time catches her, insisting she's the last one. She agrees to accompany him to the underground area, where he morphs into Emmett. Daniel confronts him about his own rules, questioning Emmett's lack of a ticket, since Goldie never accepted one. Daniel steals Emmett's scythe and ticket. Goldie insists that the final victim must willingly accept their ticket. When Emmett tries to force her, she grabs the scythe and flees. Daniel drags Emmett into hell, igniting a dynamite fused with black sand. After an explosion, Goldie finds herself back at the party as if nothing happened, indicating Daniel's success in reversing time. As the crowd restarts the New Year's countdown, Goldie leaves the hotel. Outside, she sees the hotel sign changed to Dantano and solemnly welcomes the new year. And with that, the movie ends.